Thanks for visiting my reading room. I'm Nancy, reader and tutor and small business owner of West Coast Polar Ice, Italian Ice, and Frozen Specialties. And I'm a big fan of reading aloud on a regular basis because I believe that our country needs strong critical thinkers and great readers now more than ever. And tonight I'm reading from Wordly Wise. I'm going to continue, probably do about 10 of these and incorporate some really good words and some reading passages that have the words in them. They're all nonfiction and pretty interesting. I thought I'd kind of switch things up a little bit. So I'll read each word and the definition, and then I will read the reading passage itself. So the first word, adjudicate, is a verb, to hear and decide judicially, to judge. Since her case was still being adjudicated, the defendant didn't want to speak to the press. Adjudicator is a noun. Anne is trained as an adjudicator in marital disputes. The second word, centennial, is a noun, a 100th anniversary or its celebration. The nation celebrated its centennial in 1876, 100 years after the Declaration of Independence was adopted on July 4th, 1776. It's also an adjective, of or pertaining to a period of 100 years. A centennial fair celebrated the town's 100th birthday. The next word, countenance, a noun. A person's face, the expression on a person's face. Luke's countenance was doleful when he heard the news that the class trip was canceled. Support or approval. The measure to abolish bilingual education cannot pass without the party leader's countenance. It's also a verb, to support or approve, to tolerate. The school board will not countenance a shorter school day. The next word, disgruntle, is a verb, to make dissatisfied, to put in a bad mood. The employees who haven't been given a raise in over 2 years are disgruntled with their wages and want an increase in pay. Equilibrium, a noun, a state of balance. The United States government is most effective when its executive, legislative, and judicial branches are all working in equilibrium. Expedite, a verb, to speed up a process, to facilitate. The company hired additional workers to expedite the delivery of holiday orders. Expeditious is an adjective, with great speed, quick and efficient. Because we were catering 2 parties back to back, we had to work in an expeditious manner. Gird, a verb, to encircle, bind, or surround. He girded his waist with a wide leather belt. To get ready for action or to brace. As 1941 drew to a close, America girded itself for a war of unremitting ferocity. Gratuitous, an adjective, not called for, unnecessary. The violence in that movie was gratuitous because it didn't add to the plot. Without charge, free. Did you think the skating lessons would be gratuitous, or did you expect to pay for them? Illusory, an adjective, unreal or imagined, deceiving. His chances of getting a raise were illusory since he had such a poor work record. Implacable, an adjective, incapable of being placated, soothed, or significantly changed, relentless. Despite Gina's apologies, Karen still felt hurt by her friend's betrayal and remained implacable. Luminary, a noun, a source of light, especially from the sky, such as the sun or moon. The moon far outshines all other luminaries in the night sky. A person who is well known for his or her achievements, a celebrity. The Academy Awards presentations were attended by many Hollywood luminaries. Manifesto, A noun, a public statement explaining the intentions, motives, or views of an individual or group. In their 1848 Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels outlined their philosophies about class and economics. Mesmerize, verb, to fascinate or hypnotize. The agile, death-defying moves of the trapeze artist kept the audience mesmerized during her performance. Precedent, a noun, an act or statement that may serve as an example or justification for a later one. The successful revolt of the American colonies provided a precedent for the French Revolution. Spurious, not genuine, false. Spurious reports that Elvis Presley was alive kept appearing in the tabloids. Oh, and it's an adjective. Okay, so we'll read the reading passage, which incorporates all these words, and they're all nonfiction, which is what I like about it. Gives a little bit of trivia. Gustave Eiffel's Tower. Guy de Maupassant, the famous French short story and novel writer, supposedly lunched every day at one of the restaurants in the Eiffel Tower. He maintained that he ate there because that was the only place in the French capital where he could eat without having to look at the famous Paris landmark. Although this story is most likely spurious, de Maupassant and many other luminaries of the art world were, in fact, implacably opposed to the tower from the start. When work on it began in 1887, a group of disgruntled artists, writers, musicians, and architects issued a manifesto calling the proposed tower monstrous and useless. In a gratuitous slap at the United States, they declared that a structure that even the United States would not countenance surely dishonors Paris. The late 19th century was the age of monumental iron structures. The famed Brooklyn Bridge had been completed in 1883, and the French government wanted something equally impressive for the 1889 World's Fair in Paris, which celebrated the centennial of the French Revolution. Over 100 proposals were submitted, and the adjudicators declared Gustave Eiffel's proposal the winner. His plan called for a 1,000-foot iron tower that would be the tallest structure in the world. It retained this title until the 1,046-foot Chrysler Building in New York was built in 1930. The World's Fair was to open in May 1889. Eiffel signed the contract on January 8, 1887. He had just over 2 years to complete the project, and he moved expeditiously. Work on the tower foundations was completed in 5 months. In order to achieve this feat, 40,000 cubic yards of earth had to be removed, which, with each of the tower's 4 feet set in a 20-foot thick base of concrete, limestone, and granite. Once the foundation was completed, the iron girders and other components, which were made in workshops 3 miles from the site, began arriving daily. When these were riveted together, the 4 corner sections began rising, leaning inward at an angle of 54 degrees until they reached a height of 180 feet. At this point, a 25-foot wide iron belt was used to gird them into a single structure. A similar operation was carried out at 380 feet. And from this platform, the 4 corners converged to form a single spire. There was no precedent for such a massive structure in Paris. Many Parisians were mesmerized by the sight of the great iron tower getting taller by the day. Others expressed misgivings, fearing that the tower would topple in a strong wind, but such fears proved illusory. Fierce weather had no impact on the structure, which could easily support elevators as well as the numerous people they would carry to the top. In installing elevators, Eiffel did not choose a single vertical elevator, which would have been simple to install, but which would have cluttered the graceful open arches at the base of the tower. Instead, Eiffel placed elevators at 2 of the 4 corners. The Eiffel Tower was a well-managed and remarkable feat of engineering. It was completed within the time allotted and within its $1.6 million budget. It is a huge structure, yet its curving shape is light and airy, giving it a sense of lift. At the same time, the structure appears to be firmly rooted in the earth. These two opposing elements work together in complete equilibrium to make France's great national monument a triumph of design. And I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good night.